Chapter 7. With the Pigs Under the House. The few miles to where the canoe was kept in the mouth of the little stream which emptied into the big river were soon traveled, and as Clever Queen's mother took her place in the canoe, she smiled for the first time. "Look, she sleeps," she said to her husband. "We are doing right. It is fate. It is fate. We cannot do anything against fate." The journey down the river was easy, and by the time the sun was halfway down to the horizon, the mother was carefully and silently working her way through the jungle towards the village from which she had stolen her own child. She dared not travel by the frequented paths, so her progress was slow, but at last she could see the village, and then the very house to which she must take the babe. How could she tell whether anyone was home or not? But it was easy to tell. There was smoke coming from the house. Yes, there were people at home, so she waited and waited. As she waited, the babe cried, and fearing that someone could hear, she put her hand over the baby's mouth and fled in terror. Then by the time the baby slept again, there were still signs that the people were home. At last darkness came, and still there had been no chance to put the baby back in the house. She watched and watched until the fading light told that the people had gone to sleep. Then, holding her breath and hugging little Clever Queen near her throbbing heart, she crept closer and closer. She had reached the house, but still, what could she do? What could she do? The ladder was drawn up onto the veranda. She might have known it would be thus. All jungle folks do that to stop people from coming unheard into their houses at night. And she couldn't leave the babe downstairs. But why couldn't she? And as she thought of it, she looked. And there, almost within reach, lay a big mother pig with her litter of baby pigs all snuggled in together. "Oh," she thought, "that mother pig won't mind another baby for a little while, and it will not be long before the baby will cry and let them know she is there." Would she? Could she? Yes, it has to be done. The poor frightened mother said half aloud to herself, "The curse of the spirits is upon me. It has to be done." And not daring to begin to argue with herself, she leaned over and placed little Clever Queen under the house among the pigs. The little pig squirmed. The big pig grunted. A dog barked. The mother, trying to flee, quickened her steps into a run. More dogs barked. More pigs grunted. It was no use being quiet now, and fearing only that she would be caught by the villagers as a thief, she ran for dear life. "Twee, twee, twee," came from 2 or 3 men at once, as they tried to quiet the dogs. But the dogs had heard real footsteps and would not be quieted. They barked louder and louder. Convinced that there must be something the matter, several men got up to investigate. There was a baby crying. Where was it? Where? Down under the house? Could it have fallen out? 2 men seized a bamboo torch and soon found Clever Queen among the little pigs. "Aye, whose baby?" called the man. "Baby? Which baby? Where?" In a minute, men were answering men, and mothers were counting babies. "Say, Pretty Diamond's mother, come look under your house. Have the spirits brought back your Clever Queen?" Spirits? Clever Queen? The excitement was so great that all thought of following the footsteps, which long before this had disappeared and was forgotten. The whole village was astir. Mothers crowded around with their babies in their arms as men pointed out the mother pig and the very place where they had found the baby. The dogs added confusion by barking their loudest, while frightened, sleepy boys and girls ran here and there wondering what it was all about. Old Grandma, who had cast the spell, grunted her triumph. "Aye, it is, it is. It's our clever queen. Ah, they brought her back, they have. The devils have surely helped us this time. Well, they shall have a sacrifice for this. They shall, they shall. And well, the sacrifice is needed, for look at those sores. Look at those sores." But the new mother, standing near as if in a trance, saw not the sores. She saw only her clever queen, and frantically hugged the child to her breast. You couldn't tell whether she was laughing or crying. Upstairs she took her after the excitement had died down. A big fire was lighted, as all thought of sleeping for many hours was gone. She dared not put the baby alone in the hammock again, so she sat in the hammock herself and swung to and fro as she cuddled Clever Queen in her arms, and as she swung she sang, "They stole my pretty diamond, they were horrible and mean, but I've got another darling, and her name is Clever Queen. Then they stole away my darling, who so terrible and mean, but we cast a spell of magic and brought back my Clever Queen." Again and again she sang her happy song, while old Grandma sat near the fire, grunting and chuckling to herself. And as she chuckled and smiled, she began to nod, and she nodded and nodded until finally she went to sleep. And as she slept, the singing grew fainter and fainter, and the fire burned lower and lower, till at last they were all asleep. Clever Queen, the mother that bought her, the mother pig, the baby pigs, the puppy dogs, and everybody, all asleep.